guys? Welcome back to another episode of Bad Movie Night. My name's Chris. Tonight, I checked out a new movie. Sort of. It's called Butchers. Let me spin you a little yarn here. I think that's the saying. Teenagers driving down an isolated highway break down. And unbeknownst to them, I don't know if that's a word, hillbillies stalk them in the hills. Or forest billies stalk them, and they're cannibal type things. And it's called Wrong Hills Have Wrong Turns. But so yeah, this movie is called Butchers. It is directed, written by Adrian Langley. It is a clone of a Wrong Turn movie, essentially. You know, one of these movies where, for whatever reason, everyone who drives down this road breaks down and gets murdered indiscriminately by a bunch of crazy hillbilly type folk that are never discovered by authorities. But it is a little different because it takes place in Canada. I thought Canadian people were all supposed to be nice. Isn't that the stereotype? Well, these guys are not very nice, I'll tell you that. Yeah, so we'll get into the movie because it's really, there's a lot of positives about it, but it's like, I don't even understand how something like this gets made because there's some funding behind it. It doesn't look like a completely micro budget, no budget movie. It looks like somebody invested some money into this thing. You know, the shots and the camera work is really good. The actors are pretty good. Some of the effects are good. So at what point does somebody say, hey, I got a great idea for a movie? And you'd be like, yeah, they did when they made, you know, the Texas Chainsaw or The Hills Have Eyes or Wrong Turn. Like, this is an exact clone of that kind of stuff, with adding essentially nothing at all new. Now, the thing of this is, it could be okay if the effects and the scares and the grossness is all there and enough to keep you entertained. And in some ways it is, but this movie is like, the production quality is too good for this idea. Why they would waste their time making something like this is beyond me. I get it if you love that genre, but then if I love that genre so much, I feel like I would try to put my own unique spin on it. And that's the thing. It doesn't feel like there's really much unique here, if anything. The ending twists a little bit, but not enough to justify any of the other stuff. So it's just kind of disappointing because I think there's a lot of quality to this thing if just the script was something more unique. But if you love those kind of movies, then you probably have a good time. And for the most part, you know, I kind of did have a good time. It's depraved in a lot of ways, like, you know, The Hills Have Eyes and stuff are. But not to the extreme of any of those movies I referenced. The gore is there, but it's, again, not as extreme as something like The Hills Have Eyes remake, or Wrong Turns or anything like that. It's kind of shot like a psychological horror movie a lot of times, which is maybe why it stuck out to me. There's lots of like wide shots of people standing amongst the trees and stuff like that, and it looks cool. It's like those kind of shots are put in when you like want to make a character seem isolated, or like get your mind thinking about what could be lurking in the shadows beyond that. But then the whole time you're like, well, I know what's lurking. It's Cletus, the slack-jawed hillbilly over there, who's gonna cut you up and feed him to his cow. So it kind of loses that whole effect and like kind of undermines those kind of shots in a way. I'm probably being a little nitpicky with that, but there's some other differences here. The movie does focus on cheating quite a bit. These young teens, I don't know if they're young teens, I can't tell anymore. They look kind of older, maybe they're not, I don't know. I'm so old, I can't pick, I don't know what people look like. Why, I can't. They're like 20-somethings, and they're all cheating with each other in ways. And I don't understand why I'm so important to the story. Like, it goes on, like this cheating aspect is like explained and kind of discussed and ruminated on with all the characters in several ways, and it doesn't really say anything. It's just, they're cheating on each other with each other, and then I don't know. And then of course they have the trope of, oh, is that the benevolent stranger who will help us out? Oh nope, turns out he's the bad guy too. Like, everything is so freaking predictable. And then they go into deeper detail with like the hillbillies and how they're kind of infighting in ways. But again, it doesn't serve any purpose. It doesn't really add anything to the overarching idea behind the movie. And this isn't the kind of movie you would come to looking for deep themes or anything like that. So I get it. So it just kind of feels like time filler, maybe. Same thing with the cheating thing. Like, gets put in there and there's scenes dedicated to it. But in the end, if you would have cut it, it would have really changed nothing. So I don't think they spent enough time kind of driving home the isolated aspect. I think that's what works so well about like The Hills Have Eyes. They're this bombed out nuclear testing area where absolutely no one really travels to. You have to travel through the deserts or whatever to get there. And when their car breaks down, there's enough stress alone in the fact that you're nowhere near anyone. And this, it was like, this just looks like a Canadian road. Like, it didn't look like it was that rural. It didn't look like it was that isolating. I mean, it's undermined by the fact that the movie opens with somebody breaking down, and then 5 minutes later, teens break down just down the road as well. So it's like, is just everybody fucking breaking down over here? So, there's not much out right now. You could do worse. There's definitely quality to this movie, and there's definitely talent behind it. I just wish they had a more original idea, because I think they could excel at it. I think the production quality is commendable, and I think the actors, especially the hillbillies, the lead guy I thought was pretty good. So yeah, Butchers, it's out now. If you like those kind of movies, you could do worse. That's pretty much what I would say about this movie. But that's gonna do it for this episode. I hope you liked it, and if you did, I don't know why I said that. We'll just end it. Okay, catch you here next time. Goodbye.